Welcome everyone to our Tuesday afternoon mastermind session. Guys, we call it accelerated breakthrough because that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to give you the knowledge and skills to accelerate your breakthrough in real estate sales. Now, today we're going to talk about a specific topic though. We're going to talk about leverage. Now, there's 4 categories of leverage. You probably want to write these down. Number 1, it's through models. Now, when I say models, what comes to your mind? And this is the part where you get to actively engage and participate. What do you think we mean by models? Talk to me.
I hate being the first one that speaks up. Millionaire real estate agent.
Okay, so the Millionaire Real Estate Agent, the Red Book, it's kind of a guideline, a step-by-step process to building a massively leveraged business in real estate sales, no doubt about that. So there are models that are outlined within the Millionaire Real Estate Agent. Yeah, let's get a little more, boots on the ground though. What specific models do you think are lacking from your current business structure? Talk to me, guys.
Business plan, playbook, an operations manual for your business.
Okay, so an operations manual, which is more on the systems side of the business, Gary, yet undoubtedly that's part of the model, right? Just stick to the model. Now, what I'm really talking about, guys, is number 1, your economic model. Your economic model. So to build that out, to cascade it in terms of here's what's going to happen in January, February, March, April, May, right? So this is your economic and budgeting model. See, so many times an agent, they have a huge windfall of money. Let's say they close 5, 10, 15 transactions in a single month. Now they've got their bank account is padded. And what do? They start spending and investing that money to make more money without any real clear direction. They're hoping and praying that this particular strategy or tactic is going to work. And sadly, most of the time, they don't have enough money to sustain that strategy or activity to where you're going to get a positive ROI. Like they could do it for 2 or 3 months in a row, yet sadly, it takes about 6 months for any marketing, any strategy to really start producing dividends. So they do it for 3 months. Oh, that didn't work. I wasted a lot of money. And they stop doing it, sadly, too soon. You guys with me on that?
100%.
Also, as it relates to models, what is your lead generation model? To create an engine that consistently spins off leads for you to focus on lead conversion, which, by the way, should be another model, your lead conversion models. Your organizational structure is a model in and of itself if you choose to leverage through people. And of course, your compensation models to align with other talented people within your market area to help you increase your production exponentially. This is on the administrative side as well as the sales side of your business. So I'm talking about agents, ISAs, OSAs. What does that model really need to look like? Now, the second category is systems. So Gary, to your point, to develop a systems manual, an operations manual. So when you leverage through, say, a transaction coordinator, and you go on a listing presentation, by the way, I would encourage you to get a 1-page commitment to sell signed, and then you email them the listing documents within 24 hours for their completion electronic signatures. It's going to, number 1, save you time on your listing presentation. And number 2, most objections during the listing presentation occur once you pull out the listing agreement for their signatures, right? So you can eliminate and avoid all of that, save a bunch of time in the process. Yet imagine you go on a listing presentation, you get this 1-page commitment to sell, that's signed, you bring it back, you hand it off to your transaction coordinator. They create all the listing paperwork, the disclosures, they email it to them, follow up with them until it's signed, and then they take over from there. What is step number 1 once a signed listing contract is in hand? What is step number 2, step number 3, step number 4, right? I mean, do you leverage through a stager? Maybe the stager is step number 1 to schedule an appointment. Have the stager meet with the seller and tour the property and give them the suggestions as to what needs to happen. Maybe they're going to bring in furniture and they're going to stage the property appropriately. Step number 2, they're going to order your professional photography. And what type of photography do you need? Do you need a Matterport digital tour? Do you need a floor plan created? Do you want twilight photos, drone footage? What does that need to look like? Yet, here's the thing. It's really about who, not you, at the end of the day, to be able to leverage through people. And that's specifically what we're talking about today. See, if you're doing all of that work right now, you're focused on the 80% stuff. And yes, there are things that must be done to have a successful transaction. Yet the point is, the 80% work is not going to move the needle for your production, your bank account balance, or your net profit at the end of the year. So to leverage off the 80% stuff to give your time to the 20% effort. That's stage number one of team development, right? To take the time that you would have otherwise invested in this 80% stuff to delegate that to somebody else and then focus your time, energy, and attention on the 20% job description. And that does require systems, right? You've got to see now a system to me, by definition, in my mind, is a standardized process that produces a consistent and predictable result. A standardized process that produces a consistent and predictable result. Your team members do it the same way every single time, and you get that consistent, predictable result. Now, in this phase of team development, we've got to, we're kind of forced to, if you choose to build a rock solid business, you've got to adopt a new mindset. See, the old mindset is fix this, fix that, fix, right? And we're stuck in this fixed mindset. The new mindset is fix, prevent. So you're going to build a system, and when you add stress to that system, when you do what I call swamp the boat, meaning a lot of people say, well, let me get my systems in place, then I'm going to start the lead generation effort. Now, I just say, build your system the best that you can right now, swamp the boat, you're going to find the holes in the boat when you put pressure, when you put water in it. Does that make sense? Or when you put it in the lake and water's going to come into the boat, you'll figure out how to bail it out. So if something goes sideways, you fix it one time, guys. Then you install a system to make sure that that never, ever happens again. Y'all with me on that?
100%.
Which, by the way, is how I developed the 20-point buyer presentation. See, for those of you who don't know, I got into real estate sales when I was 20 years old. My mother and I started a real estate sales team together at RE/MAX. Now, she was much smarter than I was. She said, Shon, I'm going to work the listing side of the business and you're going to work the buyer side of the business. She was much smarter than I was. And yet I was happy to do it. I loved working with buyers. I developed this ability to just connect with people, to earn their trust, build rapport. And then, of course, with the market knowledge, I would say over 200 homes a month, guys, I could find them a home quickly. And then with the negotiating skills that we perfected over time, we were able to get them under contract quickly. And as a buyer's agent at 23 years old, I had my biggest month ever. I closed 18 transactions that month with one unlicensed assistant because we systemized the whole process. Yet the 20-point buyer presentation became the catalyst to that type of growth, to systemize the relationship. When I set an appointment, I would set for them to meet with me directly. I wouldn't run out the door to meet them in a house. By the way, this was an experiment that almost failed, quite frankly, because I was not proficient at closing for in-office appointments. I just wasn't good at it. So I researched, I developed, I invented what I call the ABC approach. So it's action first. What do you want them to do? What's the benefit? Why would they say yes? And then alternative choice commitment. And so again, it was an experiment that almost failed. I said, I'm not going to run out the door and meet people at houses. And yet I was not good at closing for in-office appointments. So what I had to do was fix that and prevent that from ever happening again. So through role play, through scripting, through practice and evaluated repetition, I became pretty darn good at that, guys. And it's really not hard to become good at that. Within a couple of weeks with a concerted effort, you're going to be good at closing for appointments, no doubt about that. Yet many agents don't invest the time. So the end result, though, was multiple in-office appointments every week with buyer prospects. It was multiple signed buyer agency contracts before I would show them homes. I remember one Sunday, I got 6 buyers under contract in one day because it was systemized. So it's models first, it's systems second, then it's technology. And what are you leveraging to make your job easier, to make the lead generation easier? Now, this requires you to benchmark and trend around, well, what is the competition doing that's achieving the success that you want to achieve? What are they doing specifically? This requires you to get engaged with Facebook groups, ask questions, become a sponge. Just get to know everything there is to know about the lead generation platforms that are actually working. You got to improve your knowledge base. Now, benchmarking and trending means that you identify what the competition is doing. That's your trend line. That's the start point to identify, well, what is your model down the trend line? What does that need to look like to ultimately to develop a model, a system, leveraging right technology to remain relevant in the future? Now, this is all stems from your knowledge base. What are other agents doing? This is why this format where I invite guests in, I get to interview them. What are you doing? How are you doing it? This is how we do our benchmarking and trending here at Icon Coaching, and we all get to benefit from that. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it's model systems, then it's technology, and finally it's people. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. It's leveraging through people, creating a mutually beneficial compensation model attached to a vision and a powerful why. That's your job as a leader. Now, out of curiosity, how many of you guys have already started building a team? I'm just curious. Show me your hands if you have. Raise your hand. You can go down to the reactions tab. You can click the little button that says raise your hand. If you guys are building a team, just raise your hand. Brian Chin, I know you guys are. Todd Watkins, I know you are. Pam, Gary, fantastic. I see Shon Kokoszka, Todd Watkins, fantastic. All right, good. So the key to you improving your personal production, guys, it's leverage. Now, the smart people, you're going to start by leveraging off the 80% stuff. See, outsourcing transaction coordination is not a bad thing. And maybe you're doing that right now. You've got a transaction coordination firm that is taking on your transaction coordination, taking that stuff off your plate, and they're going to charge you $300 to $400 per transaction, which is a predicated fee. They only get paid when the deal closes, right? Which is great. Yet the downside to that is that the only thing they're going to do for you is that transaction coordination. That's it. They're not going to help you with your next customer appreciation event or your just listed campaign or your just sold campaign, or even communicating with your existing sphere of influence. So once you get to say 3 transactions per month consistently, it makes sense to hire that person in-house. Maybe you hire them part-time at first, 4 hours a day. And then as you increase your production to 5 or 6 transactions per month, then you pull them in full-time. Yet the thing being, if you're closing 5 or 6 transactions a month, that transaction coordinator, if they're good, if they're proficient, they're probably investing maybe 2 to 3 hours per day in transaction coordination. So if you've got them in-house, you got them full-time, they can invest 5 to 6 hours a day in helping you identify new strategies and tactics to communicate more aggressively with your sphere of influence, with your database, to implement new strategies to generate leads. So leveraging some of that through this administrative support does help you improve your production. Now, I'm going to say it again, critically important, that when you leverage something off to somebody else that's part of the 80% tasks, that you've got to take the time that you would have otherwise invested in that 80% task, reallocate that to the 20% job description. And that's really simple, guys, just 5 things. You've heard me say it over and over and over. It's practice. You got to know what to say. You got to know how to say it. And with mere words, you can make millions of dollars a year selling real estate. Second is lead generation. So what are you doing proactively to identify and earn the business of the buyer and seller prospects in the marketplace today? And there's 1,000 things you could do, yet it's up to you to determine what should you do. I mean, are you calling for sale by owners, expired listings like my friend Todd Watkins? Are you doing circle prospecting? You're door knocking? Are you doing open houses every single weekend? Are you doing just listed, just sold campaigns? Are you doing business to business prospecting? You're working the notice of default list? Are you after absentee owners? I mean, what does that look like for you specifically? And what are the standards that you're going to adhere to on a daily basis to make sure that you're consistently increasing your production month after month after month? So after hiring a transaction coordinator, many agents recognize, and if you haven't recognized it yet, let this be the epiphany, right? The listing side of the business is 10 times easier than the buyer side of the business. You can close 10 listings in the time that it would take you to close 1 buyer. I think you guys would agree with that. The buyer side of the business is time intensive. And yet the most time consuming part of the buying process is what, guys? Talk to me. What do you think? Where do you invest most of your time when you close a buyer?
Searching properties.
Searching properties.
Showing properties.
Yes. Searching properties and showing homes, no doubt about that. And yet that's also the part of the process that requires the least amount of talent. Would you agree with me, guys?
Yep.
Anybody can show a house.
Can I also add the inspection response?
Yeah, Todd, thank you for bringing that up. So the inspection.
That is the part that I loathe when working with buyers, having to go back and renegotiate with the seller again, saying, hey, we paid top dollar for your house, but it sucks, so you need to replace the roof. And having to renegotiate all over and then have the buyer. Oh, the worst part.
It is the worst part. Now, think in terms of who, not you, right? See, I empowered my client care manager for buyers to negotiate all inspection repairs. So I never got involved in that, Todd. I did it at first. Like you, I hated it. And I then finally was able to educate my client care manager for buyers. And she took on all the inspection issues, from scheduling the inspection to dealing with the inspection repairs and the request list of the seller and everything else. They handled all of that. In fact, Todd, I hated it so much that I empowered them, saying, if you have a problem and the deal is going to crash and you can solve that problem with $1,000 or less, I don't even want to hear about it. Just approve the expense. You can tell me about it at team meeting. Okay, I don't even want to be involved in it. See, to me, that was a leaf decision. If we think of a decision tree, right? Imagine a tree in a wide open field. It's 75 feet tall. It's in full bloom. It's midsummer. It's a gorgeous tree. If it loses a leaf, the tree's not going to die. If it loses a twig or branch, it'll still survive. And to me, those are leaf, twig, and branch type decisions. You understand? I don't want to be involved in those kind of decisions. I want to be involved in the trunk decisions. Everything else should be handled through somebody else. You guys with me on this? Yes.
Yep.
So to leverage all of that off, see, if you don't have an administrative support person within your world, well, you are one. You understand that, right? Yeah, meaning if you don't have an assistant, you're an assistant. So we got to leverage that stuff off. Now, so the next key hire, after you get the 80% stuff taken care of on the transactional side of the business, it's a showing partner / ISA. Now, the mistake a lot of agents make, and many of you saw my post a couple of days ago in our Icon community, our private Facebook group, the mistake that they make is they identify an agent who's got a great personality, they have a real estate license, and say, why don't you join my team? You can work the buyer side of the business. You'll be my buyer agent. And they immediately promote that person to buyer agent on the team. And they say, well, here's a couple of things maybe you should know. Now go conquer the world. Here's a bunch of leads you can follow up with that I haven't gotten anywhere with. And sadly, that person fails miserably because they're not positioned for success. They're not prepared for that role yet. So what I would do is I would hire them first as an ISA. This would be the ideal world, okay? So they're an ISA on the team, meaning inside sales associate for 8 hours a day at a minimum. They're going to be on the phones. They're going to be focused on converting the pool of leads that you've undoubtedly generated. They're also going to be generating their own leads through their personal sphere of influence, and they're going to be doing at least 2 open houses every weekend to identify those buyer prospects in the market. So we develop a compensation model for an ISA. On the buyer side, I'd encourage you to give them 10% of the GCI on every buyer they push your direction. On the listing side, I'd encourage you to give them upwards of 25% of the GCI on every transaction. See, I view it like this. I hold an active real estate license in the state of Colorado. I live in the state of Texas, okay? Yet, if I contacted you and said, hey, I just set a listing appointment for you for Saturday morning, 10 o'clock. They've answered the 22 pre-listing qualifying questions. They're motivated. They're going to sign with you. Would you pay me a 30% referral fee when they list or once the deal closes? Would you do that? How many of you guys would do that? So I kind of view it like that, is if you're willing to pay me a referral fee, you should be willing to pay them a referral fee. So I'd pay them 25% on any listing that they push your direction. Now, I also wouldn't force them to be an ISA for a certain duration of time, which I think is another mistake that a lot of agents make when they're building a powerful real estate sales team. They say, okay, you're going to be an ISA for 90 days. At the end of 90 days, we're going to give you a review. Then we can promote you within the team. See, the reason that I say that's a mistake is because you don't want to promote somebody who doesn't deserve it. That's number one. Number two, you don't want to squelch the production and the talent of a talented person by forcing them to stay in that role for 90 days. So what I would do is I would tie it to a benchmark, meaning you've got to set up at least 3 buyer appointments that sign buyer agency agreements, and you've got to set up at least 2 listings that sign a listing contract. And once you accomplish those benchmarks, then you can be promoted laterally in the organization. You'll still be an ISA, yet you're promoted to showing partner. You guys tracking with me on this, okay?
Yep, 100%.
Okay. So you tie it to a benchmark. Now, a person of talent could do that in the first 2 weeks, seriously, and I've seen it happen hundreds of times. They'll get 2 signed listing contracts, 3 buyers under buyer agency agreement. They're then promoted to showing partner / ISA on the team. Now, as a showing partner, again, they're not going to show homes for you for 10 hours a day again. So while they're not showing homes, they're on the phones and they're casting their line into your pool, your pond of leads in hopes to catch a fish, right? Now, in this capacity, if they catch the fish, they set the buyer appointment for you, you're going to do the initial counseling session. So whether you meet them at your mortgage company's office, your title company's office, at your own office, or even at a coffee shop, the 3 of you are going to get together, the buyer prospect, you and your showing partner, and you're going to walk them through an initial counseling session. This is your opportunity to set the appropriate expectations. Now, if you are not familiar, I would encourage you to go to YouTube, type in Shon Kokoszka 20-point buyer presentation. There's a full-length video that somebody posted to YouTube. You can watch the whole thing. Now, there are 20 expectations that must be set when working with a buyer. It'll take you all 15 to 20 minutes to get through this, yet the natural byproduct of this is a signed buyer agency commitment. So once you get that buyer agency agreement signed, you turn the buyer over to the showing partner. The showing partner is going to do the MLS searches. They're going to take them out and show them all the homes. And once they narrow it down to the one they want to buy, they're going to give the buyer back to you. You're going to write and negotiate the offer. And your showing partner is going to be part and parcel to that entire process. So it's like on-the-job training. Now, at their capacity as a showing partner, if you converted the buyer lead and you did the initial counseling session with them and you hand the showing partner the buyer, I would pay them 15% of the gross commission income and I'd retain 85%. Now, if they set the initial appointment to motivate them to do just that, you'll pay them 25% of the gross commission income. Because all they're doing, guys, is showing homes. You guys with me on this? Yes?
Yes.
Now, once they get 3 to 5 buyers under contract, you set the standard. Again, we're gonna base this in results. Then you promote them to buyer agent or agent on the team, depending on your model. I mean, do you want them to work only buyers where you work all the listings at first? Or do you want them to be able to take their own listings? I would encourage you to let them take their own listings as well, because that eliminates a barrier to entry to join your team. You guys with me? So far, how are we doing? Come on, talk to me. Questions, concerns, challenges so far? Come on, talk to me.
I'm gonna need the link for this, Shon. I need to review it again because there's some golden nuggets up in this. Thank you.
Glenn, it's my pleasure, of course. So once you promote them to agent on the team, their compensation model shifts pretty dramatically. Now, at this point, they're going to set their own appointments, whether it's a buyer or listing appointment. They're going to go on their own appointments. They're going to prepare their own buyer agency agreements and listing contracts, and they're going to get them signed. Then they're going to take them out, show them the homes, or they're going to bring the property to market. They're going to write and negotiate their own contracts. And for this, if it's a team-generated lead, you cannot exceed 50% to the agent. Otherwise, it will not be profitable for you. Now, I've got companies that are paying 35% to the agents on the team, and they pay 15% to the showing partner. They retain 50%. I think that's a good model. That works. But do not exceed 50%. If you can get away with 40% to the agent, 60% to the team, it gives you more money to reinvest, roll up your sleeves, generate more leads. They'll become more successful. And the mindset is, I'd rather have 40% of 5 deals a month than 100% of 1. Does that make sense? Okay, so now they're promoted to agent on the team. Now, what is the next step in the ascension ladder? Because I don't know about you guys, being stuck on a team and being in a position where I'll never exceed 50% of team leads. I eat what I kill. I got to go out and sell all day long. And that's the most I'm ever going to get. That kind of takes the winds out of my sails. And what happens is the vision of the agent exceeds the size of the vision that the team leader has for them. That's when they become disgruntled. That's when they want to leave. And sadly, you've now trained your competition. Anybody had an agent leave your team? It's painful, you guys. So in an effort to stop that from happening, we need another rung in the ladder, the ascension ladder toward leadership on the team. So from the position of being an agent, the next step is VP of sales. And that's what they're gunning toward, right? They want to become a VP of sales. They're going to receive massive recognition for this, right? Now, people will work hard for money, yet they'll die for recognition. So to kind of dangle that carrot of you can become a VP of sales. Let me tell you how that works. Number one, you personally must walk the walk. You've got to get at least 5 million in total sales volume in a 12-month period. That's benchmark number one. Benchmark number two, you have to prove that you're a good recruiter, and you've got to recruit at least 2 agents to join the team beneath you. Now you're going to mentor these agents, you're going to train these agents, and you're going to hold them accountable to the daily KPIs or key performance indicators. Okay, so you got to prove you're a good recruiter. That's step number 2. Number 3 is you have to prove you're a great leader, that you can get these guys into production. So between the 3 of you, you've got to close at least 10 million in sales volume within a 12-month period. Now, once you've accomplished these 3 benchmarks, you're going to be promoted to VP of sales. We're going to change your business cards. We're going to elevate you and give you a more prominent position on the website, on the brochures, and everything else, because you've earned that. Now, at the point that we promote you to VP of sales, you're now going to receive an override on the agent's production that you've attracted to join the team. So perhaps 40% goes to the agent, 10% goes to the VP of sales based on the production of the agents that they've gotten to align with your organization. You guys with me okay?
Yep.
Now, as VP of sales, they can attract as many agents to their downline of agents on your team and receive that override on the agent's production. So what this does, it allows them to begin applying leverage within your team. Now, the next phase in their evolution, and let's say you have 3 VPs of sales on your team, you've got a total of 6 agents beneath them on the team. Now, those 3 VPs of sales, what they're gunning toward is the director of sales role. And they're going to earn the opportunity to become director of sales. Where when they're promoted to director of sales, the VP of sales report directly to the director of sales. And how the commissions will roll up is the agents are at 40%, 10% goes to the VP of sales, another 5% goes to the director of sales. Now you've got the volume and you retain 45% of every deal that is closed throughout the agent population. Now, the director of sales is also the recruiter to get other agents to join the team, and you can build a massive organization. When I think of this, I think of one of my current clients. His name's Todd Denman. Now he's out in Cambridge, Massachusetts. Average sales price 1.2 million. Doesn't suck. Now he went from just himself when he hired me 3 years ago to now having 4 administrative support, including a full-time marketeer. And he's got 12 agents on his team. He's got a director of sales. He's got 3 VPs of sales. He's got another 9 agents that report directly to the VPs of sales. So we're building a very large team. By the way, he went from 15 million in sales volume to this year we'll close over 300 million in sales volume in just a 3-year period when you follow the Icon coaching methodology. And guys, I encourage you to do that, no doubt about that. So while we got through the first couple of phases of building a team, Tim, we need to keep this rolling. By the way, every Thursday afternoon at 4 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Pacific, I'm going to be doing a team leader mastermind. Now, you must qualify to be invited to attend this team leader mastermind. Now, the current qualifications are you've got to have at least 3 people on the team, and you must be closing in excess of 15 million in total sales volume to be invited to this call. So if that is you and you want to learn from other people that are in very similar positions that you are, and those that have gone well beyond that, because I've got agents that are going to be attending that are closing over 1,000 transactions per year. And we become the sum total of the 5 closest people that we associate ourselves with, right? So to hang around with people that are going to stretch your mind, if you qualify, please drop me an email. Let me know you qualify. I will send you the Zoom meeting link, and I want to see you there Thursday afternoons because it's going to give you a shortcut to success, undoubtedly. So my email is Shon, SHON, @iconcoaching.com. If you qualify, please send me that email. Let me send you the Zoom meeting link. We're going to do it every Thursday. So if you're booked this Thursday, that's okay. Send me the email anyway. I'm going to send you the Zoom meeting link, and it'll be a recurring invitation. So you can consistently show up when you can. Sound good?
Awesome, Shon. I'm excited.
Right on, Shon. Way to go, man. Questions, concerns, challenges, talk to me.
It's a great session, Sean. Thank you. Keep rolling it out.
You got it, Gary. Well, we've only touched the tip of the iceberg, you guys. So we're going to be going deeper and deeper and deeper into this because I want you to enhance your knowledge and skills around how do you really build a business in real estate sales. Now, there's a lot of coaches out there that are going to help you focus on your personal production, which is noble and that's great. I encourage you to keep doing that. At the same time, if you really want to build a business in real estate sales, then I want you to keep showing up here because we're going to show you the shortcuts to leverage, to really move beyond your natural ceiling of achievement to go on to close 100, 200, 500 transactions per year, if that's what you want to do. All right, gang, I am late to my next coaching session. Thank you for the extra 5 minutes. By the way, I was pretty winded today, no doubt about that, or wordy today. Yet let's keep this going, okay? All right, look forward to seeing you guys next week. Until then, just be on purpose, be productive, be powerful. Talk to y'all soon. Bye-bye.